Welcome to another episode of Spilling Ink, the talk show that takes you behind the scenes in the publishing world. Here with us tonight, we have Ronnie, Virdi, and Madison Daniel. Hey guys, how's it going?
Pretty good. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Madison, how's it going over there, man?
Oh, we're doing good. I'm glad to be back. It's been like my 1 year anniversary of being on the show. So
awesome. Well, we're very happy to have you back. And then the wonderful, the always beautiful and glamorous Katie Salidas.
Yeah. Hi guys.
I love your hair tonight. What did you do with it?
I just call this hot mess. Pretty much sums up my mood today too. So
it's very nice. It's very nice.
All right, so, very dynamic.
So I've been dropping little teasers on Facebook that I had good news to talk about tonight. So I wanted to chat about what I'm got going on right now first, and then we're gonna kind of get into our guest here, and we have some very heavy-duty topics to talk about, including the D chord and the C chord and G minor and stuff like that. Madison's going to give us a schooling here.
Right on, we got that.
Okay, so over the last couple years here, and those of you who watch the show know that I write kind of dark fantasy and thrillers and horror, and sales have just been kind of steadily going downhill over the years, and it's been more and more challenging for me to keep up with the marketing and what I have to do to stay on top of the game. And it's been frustrating, and I think it's frustrating for a lot of indie authors when you're putting so much of your time and so much of your heart into what we're making for people and for readers, and then sometimes you don't see the return on that when it comes to the financials. And while we don't do it for the money, we still have to live. So this last year, I've started querying small presses and other publishing companies to try to see if I can get some new life into my books. And I finally got a response from one, and I've been working on it for a few months. It's called Evolved Publishing. And so I just signed on with them to do 5 books total, 3 of which I have already published, which is kind of an unusual arrangement, but it's awesome because the 3 books that I've already published are kind of floating around out there in the indie world and not getting a lot of visibility, even though I really like the stories. So to hear someone say, okay, we're going to pick those up, we're going to breathe some new life into it, I've been really excited about. Because the big part of being an author that I'm absolutely terrible at, that we've talked about so many times on this show, is actually being a salesperson too, is figuring out this marketing, figuring out how to make the ads and make them all work just right so that someone's actually going to click on that link and even give my book a shot. So that's my big news, Katie.
Congrats.
Congrats.
And a 5-book deal. Okay. Holy crap.
I hope it's okay to point out something that if anyone is watching this and looking, there's another publisher right now that has an open period, Angry Robot Press, which is traditional for anyone who doesn't know. They're not Big 5, but they're independent. But they have published some important people. I believe Chuck Wendig, Casey Alexander, like they get you full. You'll be in Barnes & Noble. You'll be professionally stocked. It's traditional publishing.
I just submitted to them.
There you go. I think they are open for 2 more months, January, and that's without an agent. So you don't even need agent submission for this. You just need a fully finished manuscript.
You don't even email them. It's straight through their forms right now. So you click on the links to follow through their submission process, and you upload directly to their website. It's not even a email them kind of query.
That makes me wish I had something right now.
Oh, yeah, and Katie had just told me about that the other day, so I was checking out their website, and I was like, damn, because I was reading through the guidelines, okay, they want 70,000 words, something that hasn't been published, non-agent and submission, so it's like, oh, this is primo for somebody to actually get your foot in there and do it. So I'm kind of bummed that I don't have anything I could submit to them right now, but yeah, it's awesome. So if for all of you who are watching, if you've got a completed novel right now, Angry Robot, open call for submissions right now, so that's pretty sweet.
And it's Nano, so if you could finish one by January, there you go.
Yeah, it's NaNoWriMo time, so you've got 50,000 words here in this month. You're already almost there. So speaking of Nano, who is doing Nano this year? Are any of us participating?
I'm using it as an excuse to finish a project I've sort of got going.
Fantastic. What about you, Madison?
I've never done it. I've been pushed to do it once or twice, but
What? You're a nano virgin? What the hell, man?
I haven't popped that nano cherry yet. So,
dude, we got to get you in there.
It's just that's like too much pressure, man. That's like gun to your head. Let's write and.
That was the meme I posted yesterday. It was Sherlock and Dr. Watson. It said you either write or the Hobbit dies.
Nice.
Oh, that's right. I saw that.
Nice. Just imagine it's like you're up on stage with Slash and all your other guys, and you're playing hard. It's not pressure. It's fame, Madison.
Yeah, when I get to that point, it will be fame, but.
You know, for me, it's friendly competition because you can have buddies on your NaNoWriMo page, and you can see what their word counts are, and you can be like, well, "Ha! I got an extra 1,000 in. Yeah." Friendly competition.
I'm not doing nano this year either, Madison. So don't feel too bad. I mean, feel a little bit bad, but not too terrible.
Well, let's like start something else instead of November. Let's like do it another time. Let's be like Let's be trendsetters.
What about February or March? What do you think?
We're gonna call that Fano?
Yes.
Well, they have one around then called Camp Nano, I think, which is same thing, but most people set a smaller word count, like 30,000. I've never actually done an official nano and made an account either. I just have used it as an excuse to like, okay, tell people I'm doing it so they leave me alone.
Let's do it, but let's like use like the Twitter thing and we'll make it like 140 characters and we'll go.
Oh man.
I'll knock out like $100, man.
Madison to come up with the crazy schemes, right? I shouldn't put you and Jason together at all, man.
No, I feel like we should. My books could need Madison, because when in my head when I'm writing, I've got all this cool soundtrack stuff going on. And what Madison does is with his books, they also come with a suggested playlist for what to listen to during the books.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's like a double-edged sword. You know, some authors they're like the opposite. They can't write with any kind of music, and I feel like I'm just writing music videos, so music is always there.
Yeah, you're kind of vibing along with it.
Yeah, and it's kind of the point too now. Like my readers, I used to like actually put the suggestion of the song like with the chapter and all that, or maybe at the back of the chapter. I can now I can name a chapter. I can name it the song, like the song title, and my readers and stuff will pick up on it and they'll know exactly what song. They'll look up the artist already and stuff. So stuff like that's been pretty cool.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So while we've had you on before, Madison, I think that for our new viewers and everyone else, we should talk a little bit about what you write. So tell us about your books.
I write these really cool books. Like here's one of them right now.
Oh yeah,
that's like it's one of my favorites.
I love that book. That looks like a good one.
Yeah, you should check that out sometime, man.
The cover on that one is so realistic that I threw the book down one time on the couch and actually scared somebody with the spider.
Wow.
What did you say when I sent that to you and begged you to read it? You were like, "Well, I hate zombies and spiders." I was like, "Oh, all right then." Damn it, Katie.
Now, hey, Madison, did you come to the Vegas Valley Book Festival?
No, I've been lacking on the festivals. I promised myself I was going to ramp that up this past year, and I did the opposite.
You're like 2 hours away, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's less than that. It's like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, really.
Speaking of good books.
There we go.
Yeah.
Boom.
Oh, yeah.
That's my little beast right there.
Madison Daniel. We call him Maddie on the show. All right, so tell us about your books, though. Tell us what you write.
YA paranormal fantasy books, the Lucas Ryan series. Promotion. So that was geared to younger kids, and that was actually been my most successful series. But it's hard to do. It's like hard to go from like writing for 16-year-olds, mainly female and stuff, with my earlier series, my Ember series, and then going into the sci-fi adventure fun stuff for like the Harry Potter kids and the Percy Jackson fans and all that. And then the Bleed Like Me, the book you just happily promoted for me, this is my first full-on adult book, and that actually has had the biggest response with my readers. So so I'm walking that double-edged sword. Where do I go? Would I go back to the Young Adventure series, or do I stick with the adult stuff that people are connecting with right now? And
that's that whole right to market question. That's a topic we got to talk about here in a little bit.
And you know, Madison, the Evolve, their main editor, that was one of the things he kind of broke me down about a little bit, because we had a long phone interview or Skype interview rather. He's in Romania, so as he said that I've really kind of fractured my reader base, because I have 2 books that I consider horror. I have one that's more of a thriller with a romantic vein in it, and then I've got 2 more that are I consider kind of dystopian or zombie thrillers, apocalyptic things. And he was like, you know, I think that people look at your books and they don't know where to start. And even if they like something they've read, then they'll go to another one and it's going to be completely different. So that's something we talked about for a long time is kind of branding yourself and defining yourself by the genre that you write in, which is interesting because you write in all sorts of different genres too.
Yeah, well, I have a couple horror stories that were pretty popular, the short stories, but
well, you have a romance story too, don't you?
Yeah, that was a left fielder that I did with another author. It was a success, but the stuff you were just saying, I've heard it go either way. I've seen people have success with doing that, being all over the place, and then I've seen the other ones where you got to have I don't know, it's you got to have a thing, a niche or whatever. And I think that's why I gravitated to holding on to the music thing, because that's the thread through everything I do. Like, you know, like when I was first catching on, like everybody referred to as my readers referred to them as like groupies because of the whole music thing. I tried not to call them that. I always feel like that doesn't exactly fit, but I guess, you know, that works. But the music thing has kept the storytelling in place for me. So I'm at that crossroad right now where I'm actually thinking about rebranding some stuff like that, and I might just stick to one thing and just, you know, run with it and see what kind of noise I can make. So
yeah, you almost have to have a rabid fan base to qualify having multiple genres.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise people, like Jason just said, they don't know where to start with your work. What's going to be their best read from you. Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of that, let's turn it over to Ronnie and tell us a little bit about what you write.
Okay, so right now I'm predominantly urban fantasy. My best series that's doing the greatest right now is called The Grave Report. It's a paranormal investigator series that's kind of like Quantum Leap meets Dresden Files is what most people compare it to. The main character is a soul. He was murdered by the paranormal, and he doesn't know what did it. So every day he wakes up in someone else's body who's been killed by the paranormal and has to use their mind, memories, bodies, and skills to solve their murders. The series starts in media res, so he doesn't know who he is anymore because he's been doing it for so long, bouncing through so many people that he's retained their memories at the cost of his original own. And yeah, it's kind of like a Monsters of the Week meets, you know, Dresden's File thing. The other series I've got going is The Books of Winter, which is set in the same universe, but it's like an analog to that, where the main character is part of a group called the Timeless, ageless group of semi-immortals who aren't allowed to interfere with like mortal and paranormal events, but the cost of doing so is they're kind of like on probation, and the main character is on probation at the start of the book and screws up like the last time. I wish I had copies to show, but I kind of don't at the moment. I gave the last ones away.
You can tell somebody who is so used to selling their books because they nail that log line and that quick summary.
Yeah.
I mean, Ronnie right there. Boom, boom, boom. I love that.
And Ronnie, you've got some recent experience doing cons, so you've had to do a lot of talking about your work. Is that right?
Yeah. Dragon Con was the most recent one where I was selling and signing, and I was lucky enough to be hosted by a place called Bard's Tower, which bought my books and stocked them. All I had to do was sign and make sure they sold. It was great. They had people like I was signing and selling with Kevin J. Anderson, Jim Butcher, Sherilyn Kenyon. They have people like R.A. Salvatore, Dan Wells, Larry Correa, who was there, and actually gave me an editorial for my series now. So that's pretty cool. My third book is debuting with an editorial from New York Times bestseller and a Hugo nominee.
That's awesome. Now, how did you get involved with Bard's Tower? Because I've heard that name come up a couple of times.
So Alexi, the guy who runs it, reached out to me because of the Dragon Awards. I've been fortunate enough to be nominated twice, and it was Dragon Con at their award ceremony, and my newest book, well, the last release I had in December, Dangerous Ways, was nominated then for this year's award. And he just reached out saying like, hey, get in touch with my assistant. Would you like to be there? Could you commit the time and the hours? And I said, yeah, without knowing if I could or not, because I figured this was a great opportunity. And I told my people doing my panels what times I'd be there. And they set it all up. They said, sure, like this is when your panel, this is when you'll be there. And yeah, I mean, I was running literally from 10 a.m. in the morning to like till everything closed, doing panels and that, but it was worth it. Like life dream stuff.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, working a con is really working a convention. It's not just sitting on your butt. There's lots to be done, lots of talking. You end up losing your voice usually about halfway through it. And yet you still got to be up there smiling, talking, chatting, you know, reaching out to people.
So what kind of panels did you do?
Dragon Con, the way they segmented it is by genre. So for me, predominantly, it was all urban fantasy related. There were a few on how to write certain parts of urban fantasy. So things like how to add humor in a genre that normally has a lot of monsters and darkness. Another one with how you sort of pace it and create tension at different points to urban fantasy. And it was all mostly about the writing craft side of particularly that genre. I didn't get to get out of urban fantasy, to be honest.
And you don't really get to choose your panels. They kind of choose them for you, right? Bit of trial by fire there.
Very much so.
Did you feel like the con has helped you? Have you seen some success reflected back at you?
A lot of exposure that translated into ebook and book sales for a while, but it's hard to say. I met a lot of interesting people and I got a lot of friendship out of it, which was really cool. And because of it, it's opened up doors to work the con network more next year in 2018. So yes, but not, I guess, in the conventional way of like book sales and like fame or anything.
Well,
Okay.
A lot of this industry, and we've mentioned it many times before, it's the not what you know or what you write, it's the who you know that really helps your career. So sometimes you go to a convention and yeah, you may not sell a lot, but you make a lot of connections with other people who could be influential or help you later on down the road to either get some more exposure or maybe get that publishing deal or what have you.
Right.
Katie, that's one of the things that I'm excited about with working with a publisher finally, is that because working with a small press is not like working with a big publisher. You know, there's not a big budget. It's a small press and it's a small budget. So while I'm going to be making a lot bigger commission than a top 5 author, I'm also don't have a big marketing budget that's going into my project. However, what I do have is a big team behind me that is then going to help promote the work and help me work through being a newly published author, because I've always been indie before. So it's exciting to me to work with people that have a lot of experience and that are gonna help my stories get out there a little bit more. And I think that's one of the coolest parts about it. You know, I'm still not going to be a millionaire, sadly, you know, cry face, but at least I'll be able to get some new readers and get the books in front of people again.
Now, let me ask you this, Jason. Are you going all in with this publisher or are you going to do the hybrid model where you still retain some of your work?
So here's where we come down to the reader fragmentation he talked about again. All they want from me are thrillers. They want the big suspense thrillers. And so they're not interested in horror. They're not interested in, you know, zombie apocalypse kind of stuff, which I think is a lot of fun to write. So what I'm going to be doing with them, and they don't want me to say exactly which 3 books we're republishing right now, but so we're republishing 3 thrillers, and then I'm writing 2 more for them. And I'm going to continue writing horror. I'm going to continue writing apocalyptic stuff because I want to, but I'm going to keep doing that as an indie because it's fun to do. I don't want to give it up just because it doesn't fit in with the marketing mold. I want to continue to do it for me. You know, I've been writing a book of short stories all this last year, and I'm going to continue doing that. And I'm going to publish it next year. It'll just have to be on my own. So yeah, going all in, you know, with the thrillers, I'm going all in with them. But as far as the actual financials, it really is a little bit of a hybrid deal, because when you're working with a small press like that, you know, there are going to be, there are still editing costs, there are still cover art costs. And while it's not like doing it on your own, it hasn't disappeared. And I'm going to have to do a lot of work on the marketing as well, even though they're going to be running ads for me on Facebook and Amazon and here and there. I'm still going to have to be a big part of that. You know, I can't sit back either. So, yeah, whereas I think we talked to Christina Henry, I think a month ago, who is a Big Five author. And she said, you know, she doesn't do any of the marketing. You know, her publicist tells her where she's going for book signings, and she goes wherever she's told to. But her publisher takes care of everything else. So
I think that's the big draw for a lot of the long-term indies is we do so much to put these books out, and we have control over 100% of the production from start to finish, that after a while it's kind of enticing to go, hey, somebody else is going to do this for me? Sure, do it.
Oh, hell yeah. And
It's also hard to let go, though, sometimes.
Yeah, there's the OCD angle, too. I do like having control of my work.
It is and it isn't, though, Madison. And I'm so geeked that they're republishing some older novels of mine, because I don't have the energy for it anymore. I want to write. I don't want to do all the other shit. I mean, I don't want to have to do all that other work. I want to write stories. And, you know, if I'm playing a part in the promoting and sharing stuff around and trying to get in front of people, that's fine. But I don't want to do the hard stuff. I don't want to figure out the right ways to market or the right ways to create ads, because I've tried. We've had a lot of guests on here that have given us great advice, but I've come to the conclusion that I'm just crappy at it. I'm terrible at marketing, so I am so happy to let go of control of that and have someone else have it be their bag to carry. So speaking of marketing, Madison, what do you do to market your books?
Lately I've been awful quiet about it. I've been bad author lately. So it's usually, for me, it was always just doing the social game, because it seemed like that's what always drummed up sales for me. The Facebook ads, and I haven't even tried Amazon ads, but none of that stuff seemed to necessarily generate. And I'm still with an indie publisher too, so they do a lot of heavy lifting on my old. It's actually my first series, but that one's been out there for a while now. I was listening to some of the stuff Ronnie was talking about earlier, and
before the show started.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick his brain on some stuff. He's got like schematics and stuff going on.
That whole market thing, man. People are nailing it. I mean, they know what the readers want. They write it, they put it out super fast, and then just boom, boom, boom. Their dollars are rolling in for them.
Well, yeah, and Ronnie, can
fan service.
Tell us about the right to market game. Tell us how that works again.
So, a lot of it is finding something that you enjoy writing, and finding a way to write it in a way to cater to an underserved niche. One example is anime culture. So one of my friends makes a full-time living writing essentially fan service sort of parodies of romantic anime comedies. So it follows all the anime tropes. There's already a huge anime fan base in the world. So everything he does is marketed to making sure people are aware at first glance this is a book about anime. So his covers are hand illustrated and they look like anime. On the cover, he has a young nerdy boy who's kind of like a loser in high school, who of course ends up getting like the most attractive girlfriend, but she turns out to be a fox girl, which is a huge anime trope. So they're writing to a lot of the tropes of the genre, things fans are going to recognize, a lot of fan service, things fans want ideally. Even if it's not new or creative, it's something they really just want. It makes them happy. It's like, comfort food. With space opera, there's a lot of this. I don't know if everyone's familiar with Jack Campbell's space opera series. There's a lot of clones like that coming out in the indie world right now. A lot of first contact space military sci-fi thrillers are like aliens have come, they've invaded Earth. The first book is we're going to fight them off like Independence Day. The second book is following like the Empire Strikes Back formula. Now the aliens have won. Oh my God, what are we going to do? The third book is it's time to kick their ass back. Yeah, and right to market is pretty much that. It's finding underserved genres if you can, ones that you like writing in, and writing in a way that's going to feel really familiar to everybody. You're going to resonate with tropes, a lot of fan service. It's kind of in a way what Marvel does with their movies right now, like why they're so successful. if any of you have seen Thor Ragnarok, the most recent one.
Don't spoil it for me. Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to tell you anything from the story, but there's a lot of fan service moments, like they do in all of them. Like we've all seen the first Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
How at the end they had the Nick Fury scene, and like all the fans were like freaking out. But like anybody who didn't know, it was still great marketing because the fans were going to tell them like, you should be excited because this is what this means.
Yeah, for sure.
And right to market is kind of like that. A lot of people are picking popular genres and just going with it. So when I first published in 2013, urban fantasy was sort of underserved, and my book was doing really well by word of mouth and just by itself. Around 2015, urban fantasy really caught on with the indie crowd, and it blew up. And a lot of right-to-market writers came in. And if you're reading the books, you're seeing a lot of familiar tropes come up where everyone feels like it's like they're all writing wizards, druids, shapeshifters, or witches. No one's really pushing the boundaries of new creative characters. Everyone's sort of kind of following in Kevin Hearn's footsteps with like the Iron Druid. There's a lot of Druid spin-off books. Everyone's doing a wizard, kind of like Dresden Files, or they're following like Patricia Briggs's Mercy Thompson series. Everyone's a shapeshifter. And if you read the reviews, that's kind of what they wanted. A lot of people are comparing these to books like they would read in between Dresden while they're waiting for the next Butcher. It has the same feel, but it's not Jim Butcher. But it's like a good clone of it.
Okay.
And they don't take themselves too seriously. Part of right to market is also understanding genre trends before or when they get hot. So right now, there's a new trend that's blowing up. If you start looking up space mages and Google this, it's a thing. So space mages are an entire series that's coming out now, like magic in the sci-fi universe.
Now, where does the right to market, that particular phrase come into play here? Because before we got on air, you were telling us how we really are going right to market just about.
Yeah. A lot of it has to come with understanding like what are the most popular books in the genre. And so in urban fantasy it would be Dresden Files. Well, what does Jim Butcher do? What tropes does he hit on that people really like? Okay, vampire courts, sexy fairies, shapeshifters, snarky first-person protagonist. So writing to market is understanding what in those particular genres that are the best sellers, what makes them stand out, what are they doing really well that fans resonate with, and then emulating it. So if you were going to write an urban fantasy, one way to make it really successful and hit the right to market crowd, so long as the genre remains lucrative, is snarky first-person protagonist if it's a guy, some sort of magical empowerment. So wizard if you're doing Dresden Files, druid if you're doing Iron Druid, or necromancer. Those are like the real popular ones. You sort of start fitting it in within these formulas of things people want. There's already a huge demand for this. People want wizard stories. They want a tough guy, smart-ass, magical protagonist.
I see.
I'm trying to think.
I see Madison smiling over there. He's like, "Yeah, I'm that guy."
I'm a big old nerd, so
Yeah. They want the pop culture references that Dresden does. They want a lot of action. That's one thing a lot of the right to market things definitely capitalize on. They have a lot more action scenes. The books are shorter too, so they can get them out faster. We're talking like 70,000 to 90,000 words versus, I'm trying to think, like Jim Butcher's last one, Skin Game, was 150. Cold Days was like 160. They're beefier books.
And seems to be producing them very quickly while the subject is still hot.
Yep.
Okay.
And a lot of them move on to hotter subjects, which makes sense. I mean, they want to make a living and they're doing the work for it. So right now, a lot of them are moving to, like I said, tech magic, which is exactly what it sounds like. And a lot of these are coming from anime. There's a lot of anime series that touch on these really weird genres, and there's a fan base for it, and people are starting to capitalize it with Space Mages. But it's kind of like military sci-fi. So it's heavy action. There's a lot of space battles, but instead of going into hard science with it, like, oh, this is how the ballistics for this laser works, it's more, no, my guy has spells. He's got magic in space, so he's got a spell rifle that shoots magic bullets.
Okay.
It's almost like cheating, though.
Yeah.
It's sci-fi, because sci-fi was all about making the science work in the fictional realm. Sorry.
Yes, no, because we can argue Star Trek, because isn't there that famous line where one of the writers was asked, "How does the warp core work?" and the writer just answered, "Very well, thanks for asking." I never went into the science of it.
True.
I know reading, and this is a few years now. It's kind of older news, but I remember reading The Martian, and has everybody read The Martian, or at least know of it?
I remember you were pretty much like fanboy time with The Martian.
Oh my God, I was so in love with it, and I loved it so much because he was a really funny character, the main character, and the science was so cool in it. It all made sense, even to someone who is just complete layperson like me, and I loved that. But that being said, I also love the fantasy stuff too. I love the magic and everything like that. So it's, I don't know. So not to keep harping on you, Ronnie, but Katie and Madison and I are all kind of old. We're old, so we're asking you, as the obviously cool young man amongst us, how do we know what's hot? So we know what to write. How do you know what the hell is hot right now?
A lot of it comes through mostly networking. A lot of if you look at the top bestsellers on Amazon that are among the indies, a lot of them are right-to-market authors. You can see the shift in their publishing schedules. Like the next pre-orders they have up and the genres are changing. So I know a lot that were doing urban fantasy and space opera for the longest time. And if you looked at their catalog on Amazon, like first of all, they're like top 20 within that genre. Like they're in the top 20 sci-fi. They're up there with like, you know, any traditional, like John Scalzi, they're up there with him. You'll see their names listed on them with Amazon. And you'll click on their catalog and you'll see their new things like, oh, they're moving from urban fantasy to military sci-fi. This must be what's hot. And you look it up and you're like, well, no one's published in this genre. That sort of makes sense. It's lucrative. It's underserved. They already have their organic fan base that's coming there. And then I'm looking at it now and I'm seeing Space Magic pop up left and right. And you start looking at the other authors that are listed with them. They're putting out Space Magic books. And you can start seeing it's indicative of like this birth of a new genre that people are capitalizing on. They know it's underserved. They're aware that there's money there. Their pre-orders are blowing up. And then in the right groups, like was mentioned earlier, 20 books to 50K, that group's entire market is focused on right to market, right books that will resonate with a certain crowd. They might come up more as fan service, but your whole goal is to make money. You need to produce fast and hit the right niches. So there are already people who are doing the analyzing work for you, and just even hanging around and picking their brains, you'll pick up on it. It's how I found out about space mages. There's another lucrative genre right now. This one again comes out of a lot of Japanese culture. It's called lit RPG. So one book that sort of helped people find it, which isn't a lit RPG itself, is, but does everyone know Ready Player One?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That which capitalized on the whole getting stuck in a video game in the video game world. Well, there have been animes about this for years, like Dot Hack Sign, Sword Art Online, where you're stuck in a video game world. It could be permanent, but now you are forced to live by the video game rules, meaning you have stats. If you die, you're done. That's how you're supposed to live the game. You find a niche. And it's become a huge literary category. If you look up lit RPG online, you'll see books making it in like the top 10 of Amazon under that category, because there's entire cultures out there that have loved video games. They have this love of the anime for it. They've never had books to cater to that market. Now they do. And reading the books feels like watching a video game because the authors in the genre go heavy into the stats. It does break up the flow of writing, but they're not fun reads. If you want a smooth story, you're going to have interruptions where, like, you know, there's this huge bold-faced type on the page where it'll say, like, character leveled up, 30 experience, which is kind of annoying to think about. But they're catering specifically to that market of anime fans and, you know, gamer geeks. Like, the culture and the readership is huge for Japan, China, Russia, Korea, who've never had these ebooks before. They've never had a culture of all these novels, and now American authors are doing it. And they're just buying it up. Like World of Warcraft fans are all over it because they've never had these books.
Our absentee co-host David, that story he submitted for the Dragon Anthology was very much lit RPG. He would do very well if he continued to write in that style.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the genre is finding its feet. But some of the guys I know were the top sellers and that make $250,000 to $500,000 a year. Whew. One of them only has 2 books out.
Is that it? That's all they make? Holy crap, man.
But yeah, finding underserved.
I'll tell you.
In a way, it's encouraging, but in another way, it's almost depressing because it's that whole, do you write for money or do you write to create art? And, you know, can the two combine at some point? Because if you're writing just to market, granted, yes, you're going to write something that you resonate with, but it almost feels like cheating in a way.
And that's the hard part, because for a lot of the early lit RPG authors, it was a passion. They are happy doing it. This is what they like. But the genre has recently exploded. And this is what I'm talking about, where if you watch the previous bestsellers, you see it, a lot of them have hopped into lit RPG. And a lot of their understanding of the genre comes from, oh, well, I can Google video games and YouTube playthroughs, which sort of gives them an understanding, but it shows in the reviews where they launched a book and, yeah, no lie, they made tons of money. They were like top 1,000 ranked on Amazon for a while and stuff. But then after a while, the book fades and it slips up in the ranking. It doesn't hold because it's not like a great quality piece in the genre. But by the time they put another 5 out, and the genre is so voraciously read right now, and it's heavily dominated on Kindle Unlimited, which I need to point out. A lot of the lit RPG fan base is younger audiences. They're like teenagers, kids who are huge in the gaming culture, so they don't have the money to keep buying the books. So what they're doing is they pay $10 a month for the Kindle Unlimited thing, and they just tear through the books. So these people are making 6 figures mostly through the page reads. But remember, they're catering to almost entire countries with the culture of gamer love. Like already America, among the younger crowd, Korea, Russia, China, Japan, which have huge, even professional video game cultures, playing World of Warcraft and MOBAs. So, like, almost billions of people who want these books, and there's not enough out there.
Wow, that makes me think I need to learn a lot more about gaming.
Yeah, and the genre is becoming saturated right now because everyone knows is popular. They're running towards it. Some people are flopping, but they're making their money. They'll write one book and they might make 20 grand on release month, and the book might never sell again because it's sort of sucked in the genre. But enough people were willing to check it out. And they made their money, and they'll put another one out. They'll go to new genres. Urban fantasy is feeling this right now. If you're a slow writer in urban fantasy, it's really hard to make money, which is where I'm at. All my stuff comes from word of mouth and weird, like bluegrass, like marketing. It's all low key and word of mouth stuff that I've been working on to build. I'm going for the whole cult of personality, rapid fan base marketing, rather than finding the hot genres, because I can't produce that fast.
You're playing the long
2
game.
books a year. Yeah.
A lot of the long timers will tell you the same thing, though. It's all about being real with your audience, and that's what keeps true fans.
Yeah. Building true fans is hard, though, but it works. One thing we touched about, which I know you guys said you want me to bring back up, is the reader magnets, which is a process that a lot of authors do where on your website or even on Amazon, you create a piece that you really love. It can be short. And there's 2 ways to go about it. On Amazon, you put it up for 99 cents, and people are willing to take a stab on it. But what it does is it's supposed to be a really strong piece by you, even if it's short, like a short story collection or a novella part of a series. And it helps sell people on your writing, like, okay, this was really cheap to check out, but I like this guy. And then you make sure you put all the hyperlinks in the books to, like, hey, this is what else I write. You need to go look at it. The other way to do it, which costs more, is to put it on your website for free through a service like BookFunnel, which allows people to download it. But what they have to do to download it is sign up for your mailing list, meaning they'll always be in email contact with you. And then you set up automation, like, hey, because you downloaded this novella from my urban fantasy series, this comes a week later, like, did you know that this is a side story or a prequel, and I've got like 4 more books out. You might want to check those out. Here are the links. Now, some people inevitably will come for the freebie, but you can always trim those people. You'll see if they don't interact with your mailing list. But for the ones that do and like your style, a lot will buy into the books, and you'll see that a lot will become true fans that will stay engaged, and then they, the word of mouth from them. And it works. I know people making full-time livings doing this. They have mailing lists of 15 to 20,000 people. So imagine that on a release. Let's say about 50% open. So that's 10,000 people open. You have let's say the worst, a 10% click rate. So 10%, like 1,000 people will click to buy your book. That's still 1,000 sales. And if you're constantly marketing that free reader magnet, you could bring thousands of people each month into your series. Some will buy in, some will not, but it's a consecutive trickle. And some will weed themselves out. Enough will keep buying through the first book. And then when you have enough of a backlist, they'll buy through the second, the third, the fourth. And that's honestly how a lot of people are doing it. It's the whole, like, honestly, it's like being a drug dealer, which is a horrible example, but the first sample is free.
Yeah, get them hooked. Yeah.
Get them hooked. But it works.
What analogy?
Now, do you utilize the same strategy then, Ronnie?
I'm actually going to, because I only recently learned about it, but I learned about it from guys making $50,000 to $60,000 a month.
So it sounds like a great plan.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
And I told my friends about this who are faster writers, and they've already tried this, so I do know it works. Because yes, now they are making consecutively more. It's consistent. It's not a full-time living yet, but we're talking they were maybe making $20 a month. Now they're making 3 figures, and it's like a nice check on the side, keeping them floating, keeping them writing, keeping them investing. And that's just because they haven't been doing it that long. I mean, the longer they keep doing it and get that exposure, it'll work. And when you do this in tandem with Facebook ads, it works even better. And that's the way.
How do you keep that magnet in front of people, though? How do you get that in front of people?
So a lot of people have mostly just at first, when they don't have the budget, they're doing free word of mouth. One way people do the Amazon method I mentioned, in conjunction with the reader magnet, is they list it on Amazon. And then in the bottom, you know how you can have a notes section like from the author?
Yeah.
They say, hey, this is 99 cents, but did you know if you sign up to my website and they put the link here, it's free. So it's already on Amazon. Amazon and most retailers are doing the marketing for you on the cheap novella. And then another thing people will do is, since it's 99 cents, you guys are familiar with things like BookBug and BookBub and Bargain Booksy and all those that love 99-cent novellas or anything. They'll drop the $40 and get like the 20,000 mailing list of Bargain Booksy to send people there. A lot will just buy the novella, and hey, you make money anyway on that, so you'll make some sales. A lot will see that it's free and sign up for the mailing list, but either way, they're buying into the novella, which has links and reminders to check out the rest of your series. So whether they're paying you for it and you're not getting them on your mailing list, or they get on your mailing list, either way, you've got them invested in the series, hopefully. The most successful way is that plus Facebook ads, which do cost money, but the average I see is people do $5 a day. And they're just trying to get, if they can get 5 to 10 people a day to click through, that's enough, because by the end of the month, that's another 300 people. If even 30 of those people go through and buy your like $2.99 book, you've made more than all you've spent on the Facebook ad. And you might get lifetime fans that continue to buy through the whole series, which at that point you're making more of a profit. And then they'll hopefully keep telling their friends through word of mouth.
Wow.
It's a lot of domino chains that like knocking over each other.
Yeah,
that builds up.
Pretty deep system there.
Yeah, I like it though. We need to utilize this, man. I'm gonna have to watch this back through like 5 times, so I've got this straight. But
one good example, if you guys just want the name, is her name is E.A. Copen. Look her up. She writes a dark contemporary fantasy series set today, but it's more in a rural setting, Paint Rock, Texas. But if you look her up, you'll see she has 4 books out in her series. Then you also see she has the novella there. You'll see it up on Amazon. And her system is pretty open, where she has it there. Her particular method is Kindle Unlimited, so a lot of people can get the novella for free and read the series for free at the cost of the page read she earned. But it's also up on her website. She lets people know that. And the Amazon magic does itself. It constantly pushes the 99-cent piece because, hey, it's so cheap. And because of that, people will check her out. Some people still want it for free. They don't want to even pay that. So she has the note there like, hey, if you're seeing this on Amazon, if you click the preview or you look at the bottom, she has it everywhere she possibly can. Like, this is free. You can go to my website and get this.
Wow.
And a lot of people go there and sign up for it.
No kidding. That's cool. I'm surprised that Amazon doesn't police that a little bit. Doesn't try to axe that. Crazy.
I honestly don't know why. Amazon has a lot of weird policies.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
And how they enforce them is really, I don't know how to say it, but it doesn't, I don't want to say it's not fair, but it doesn't seem even or well regulated. It seems like sometimes they will enforce certain rules and sometimes they won't. You never know when. So one of the rules, which is really weird, is you can't have certain keywords in your blurbs for obvious reasons, because it will niche you into extra categories that your books may not fit in. Like if you're trying to manipulate the system and go, most people get 2 or 3 categories. You're allowed to pick when you upload a title. Some people are really smart, and in their blurb, they'll go like, this dark fantasy is a, hilarious book that plays with horror comedy, which are all other genres. And because they're in the blurb, Amazon's automated system will start sub-niching them, so they get 10 categories or 15, which means more exposure. Anytime they get a lot of sales, they may not be number 1 in urban fantasy, but hey, they're a bestseller now in horror comedy, which only has like 10 other people competing in it. But it gives them the bestseller tag. That's not allowed by Amazon methods, but tons of people have that in their books online. Like it's listed there, but it's a bannable offense, and Amazon's very open about that. But some people have been banned, some people haven't. And that goes the same with how they enforce like listing that your books are free somewhere else on Amazon.
Interesting. We talked a little bit about different genres and kind of what's hot right now and whether or not to write in what's hot. And Madison, you mentioned that you're considering making a change and going into a different genre or going all in one genre. Is that something you can talk about yet? I mean, can you tell us what's on your mind a little bit about where you might go?
It's still in the really early stages. You love your earlier work, and it's like I don't want to let it go. I almost want to rebrand and use all the tools that I've learned in the last 5 years, and add it to that my first kid. Just your first series is like your first kid. You want to see it grow and do well. But like I said, I'm writing in the adult thriller paranormal stuff with my last series. Seemed to make a splash, so I don't know if I'll just run with that and hopefully get the next big HBO or Showtime series out of it or something.
Oh yeah,
but I love
my series.
Yeah. But I love writing little horror shorts. I grew up as a Stephen King guy, so I write all over the place, and I love my younger fantasy stuff. It's so fun because I'm just a big kid. So
see, that's something you could capitalize on if you like writing horror shorts, doing those on the side. Let's say, what are your average, like 5,000, 10,000 words in some of these shorts?
Oh yeah, that's about. It's actually I average around 10 to 20,000 on my shorts.
So get 2 of those. You've got 40,000, about the size of a novella. Combine them, get just an ebook cover made. Sign up for BookFunnel, embed it on your website, and give away 2 free horror short stories.
Yeah, when you were explaining it, I was thinking about doing that with my horror shorts because they're out there right now singly, but they're kind of in the same universe. So I was thinking about doing that.
Leave them up there for sale too.
Yeah.
People see them if they want to buy it. Hey, they give you money. If not, they can get it for free.
Yeah,
Another service people use is a place called Insta3E8, which markets itself, and it's what the name suggests. You can upload titles there. You pay $20 a month. You can write that off as a tax write-off because it's a marketing thing. And it does its own marketing. Like, it pimps the people who are subscribed to it. Like, hey, you like horror? These are the horror authors who've uploaded something. Or people who just come across it. Same thing. They download it. You get the email mailing list. You can contact those people in your own time. And like, hey, you signed up for this because you downloaded this short story. Check me out. Here's some of my stuff. I hope you like it. And then touch base a few weeks later and just keep them engaged.
I'm pretty sure Insta3E8 also automatically merges with MailChimp, so it can auto import straight into your automation on your newsletter.
As does BookFunnel.
Okay. And with the Insta3E8, is it just it's always free all the time for everyone, or are there a contest they have to win, or is it just, how does it work?
No, it's kind of like Amazon, except nothing up there is for sale. People are allowed to come in and download anything they want anytime. The only catch is they have to sign up for that author's mailing list. And that's if you want to do that. You can upload something free without that. You're given the option, do you want them to opt in, yes or no? Some people feel uncomfortable doing that. They just want to give it away for free, or what they do is they don't do that, and at the end they embed like an image that's a hyperlink, like, hey, don't have to sign up to anything of mine, but if you would like to, here's a link here, and you still get the story for free, and here's a link to my books if you just want to check them out, no pressure. It depends on what you feel comfortable doing and how you want to market it. A lot of people do that too. I can't tell you how well that works because I don't know anyone actually doing it. I just know people do it.
Okay, so in Madison's case, and so say Madison wants to write adult paranormal, and he goes through and he's got a cool short story that ties into his Madison cinematic universe, and put that up on Insta3E8 and promote it on Facebook and on his website. Hey, here, come check this out. People get hooked on that, and then hopefully they're going to buy the rest of the series. That's kind of the idea, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And if he does the Insta3E8 and does the mailing list thing, he won't have to hopefully just rely on them going out of their way to figure it out. He'll be able to contact them going like, hey, the reason I'm contacting you is because you guys downloaded this free short story, signed up for my mailing list, and want to touch base, see if you guys liked what I write, and if you did, here are the links. Throw in some images and some catchy blurbs, like more like a sales pitch. You don't want to dump your Amazon blurb in because most readers on an email don't have a long attention span.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want them You want like a sales copy, like a 2-line thing, like it's this hot title meets this hot title, and a snappy dialogue. Like one of mine is like Magic Monsters Mayhem. That tells people everything that you know. It's catchy, memorable, and it's alliteration, and it works. Something like that, and just give them links to buy it. And a lot will go through and buy it. Some will unsubscribe because they just wanted the freebie. That's the nature. But enough will check it out. You'll see a bump in like the sales and income. And then obviously, especially with Amazon being the most popular retail, anytime you have that bump in the sales income, your algorithms kick up, your rank kicks up, and Amazon starts marketing you a little bit harder anyway.
Yeah.
So you can kick off this Amazon cycle, which is what a lot of the right to market authors do when they have that crazy publishing cycle of 6 weeks to 3 months for some of them.
So what do you guys think, Katie and Madison? Is that something you would ever consider, is trying to do the right to market? You know, trying to find what's hot in the market and going right for it?
I can't.
I can't do it. I mean, I really have to resonate with a story to write it, and I write fast, but I don't write that fast. And even if I did, my editor, who I absolutely love, she has a window of opportunity every so often, and I have to fit into that. So I couldn't even publish that fast.
Well, I know tonight I'm going to be watching all sorts of anime.
Anime is the best, man.
Because I'm going to be the next great anime writer guy. Lit RPG. That's not the lit RPG. What is the one about anime that's super popular?
No, well, lit RPG is one of them. It was inspired by the anime. It's like Sword Art Online, being trapped in video game worlds. Others are romantic comedies. So, loser guy in high school gets the super hot half monster girl. Another one that's really kicking off now because of a famous anime called My Hero Academia is things like schools for superheroes. Instead of mutants, things we're in a world where people have superpowers, but they have to get trained for it, get licensed for it. So it's kind of like YA superhero stories.
Okay.
But because it's anime, it's written to more of an adult content. Like, it's not fluffy. Like, kids are going with powers that can kill each other, and they're getting maimed. It focuses on kids, but it definitely feels like it's written for a more adult audience. That's really popular. In fact, superhero fiction, if it hasn't blown up yet, it's going to be blowing up pretty soon. And just look at what's happening with the movie culture. Superhero movies are coming out now for fans who've been fans forever, but now there's a new generation of kids growing up with superhero movies as something that's normal.
Yeah.
Whereas,
totally.
A lot of generations didn't have it, so they're going to be wanting fiction to follow that outside of just comics. The longer it goes, Marvel movies are going to start airing on basic TV. Some already do. More younger kids are going to get inundated with that. They're going to want the fiction to go with it besides just the comics. They're going to want full novels. Marvel just released a new property. This trailer is in Thor Ragnarok, but it's not spoiler because you can find it. But they released a trailer for New Mutants.
Oh, yeah.
Young Mutants who are yeah. And that's something that's going to blow up pretty soon. Is maybe not YA superhero fiction, but just superhero fiction overall, and definitely maybe with the anime archetype of, superpowers kind of being crazy and outlandish. Like in My Hero Academia, one of the most famous superheroes' power is sort of being an American superhero. Like, that's actually kind of his power. He's a character that's a spin-off of like Golden Age Superman. So he's super strong, super powerful. He always smiles. He does corny things like thumbs up, rescues kids from trees, but he can also smash planets. And it hypes a lot of these things up. It plays with that. But because it's familiar, like, even if these heroes have silly names and stuff, you kind of go like, I'm watching a different take of Superman. And I'm watching a different take of like Iceman from X-Men with this character.
I think
it
we
works.
could write a story about like superheroes like Superman, but during their uncoordinated teenage years.
Yes, like X-Men First Class.
Yeah, where they're just completely screwing up everything.
Oh, I like that. And it gives people from several generations something familiar to latch onto and say, oh, okay, I know what we're talking about here, or oh, I know where this character's going. This is going to be awesome. And oh, I kind of like that. I guess I buy into the pop culture in that way. I like following that kind of stuff. So that's fun. Speaking of cool superhero books, that are not like superhero books at all, though, is a book called Vicious. It's by a author named Victoria Schwab, V.E. Schwab. And I've been fangirling about her for a little while now because it was so fantastic. But I'll tell you what, man, it's a superhero book that's not like a superhero book, and definitely recommend checking it out, because it's at the end I'm just like, oh man, now I want to go into this kind of world here and write in this. It was so inspiring. But anyhow, that was a cool one. All right, Katie, where are we at?
I don't know. I think we kind of ran off on a tangent tonight.
We kind of did a little
Throw
bit.
the list out the window.
Yeah, got a list.
That's all good, man. I learned some cool stuff tonight. I learned that I need to watch a lot more anime. I need to write space mage thrillers. And I need to lure makes it sound like I'm doing something bad or deceitful. I need to draw readers in with some kind of free short story kind of deal to get them going.
It's interesting you bring this up, because you mentioned you're predominantly, or at least somewhat, a thriller writer also.
Yeah.
The man who pioneered a lot of these methods is an indie thriller author who's probably one of the most successful. You might have heard of him, Mark Dawson.
Oh, yeah.
He writes The Cleaner. He's the one who came up with the whole reader magnet thing.
No kidding.
He's got Facebook groups where he teaches some of this stuff for free. But if you look at his model for thrillers, thrillers are still probably some of the most lucrative genre. They're not underserved, so it's not like a quick right-to-market bang buck genre, where if you write it, you're going to make tons, but it's still one of the most overall popular genres. So if you get your feet in there right now, I mean, that's still the top. I mean, the top is erotica, romance, and thrillers.
Okay.
Right-to-market is mostly, like I said, finding the underserved ones, so you're guaranteed to make a quick buck. You'll find out something that's underserved. It's really hot right now. You will make tons of money, and Mark Dawson still makes more than all of them, and he's just doing traditional thrillers. He's just writing them in a really familiar way, and he markets them really well. But if you want to look at like some of the marketing ideas you could get, I mean, I would look at his model and follow him online. He details some of the stuff he does online. He's got Facebook groups for it.
Okay. Well, I know that Conrath, J.A. Conrath, I think that's his first name. He has a website that it's gosh, I can't even remember the name of it now. I'll have to post that, but it's a newbie's guide to self-publishing or something like that. But he writes a lot of thrillers and a lot of horror too. But he's created a formula that works every time. So he keeps using that, and so like you said, readers know what to expect, and they want that. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think that some people
where your tastes lie.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, what it is it's the pulp. It's like a research of the pulp genre when people were writing like classic sci-fi, and it all sounded really similar.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right, guys, we're about at the end of our time tonight. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on another episode of
Pleasure.
Ink, the talk show that takes you behind the scenes in the publishing world. Where we had Ronnie and Madison. You guys were both awesome.
Thanks for having me again.
Thanks for having me too.
Yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with us, for sharing your insight and information and your stories about publishing.
And thank you again, Ronnie, for all the insights you brought tonight. You are a very knowledgeable guy, and I feel like I've learned a hell of a lot just in the last hour here. So,
thank you.
And Maddie, you're pretty good too. I like you too.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm just here for the ride.
All right. Good night, guys. We'll see you next time.